Everybody, it's Misha. Hey, we're going to talk this morning a little bit about two things that are going to help with insulin resistance and with fat burning and a number of other things. I didn't do an intro video this morning, did I? Look, if you're suffering with brain disorders, brain fog, I haven't had my tea yet. Anxiety, depression, this can help with that. It can help with helping your liver get healthier. It can help you drop weight. It can help you regenerate cells in your skin, tighten up. What is it? We're fasting, you guys. It's fasting. So how many of you guys in here, just had a thought, how many of you guys have heard about fasting, but you're a little bit scared to try it? Like, oh, that's going to be tough. Put a 1 in if you're a little scared to try some intermittent fasting. And good morning, Chica. So you guys, I am going to drink my tea. Look, this is how easy it was. I just ripped this open because I need it. And I'm just going to pour it in my cup because I didn't bring a spoon. I'm just going to get it stirred up. But I got to have this tea. And that's honest. It's like now that I know, and I can't go back to having mornings without the tea. In fact, when my mornings are off, I just realized I didn't get all of that nutritional goodness in. So, I love the pet people who come on and want you to follow them to look at their pets. Whatever. Okay, so we're going to talk about fasting. We're going to talk about how that's helping. And then ask questions along the way, you guys. I am by no means an aficionado on fasting. I'm learning as I go along and am on this journey to heal my body. Why am I wanting to do a 36 and 12 fast? Well, just to be honest, because I'm not perfect. I've had some really stressful months and I haven't been perfect with my diet, and I want to get myself back on track. With ADHD, this kind of control and those goals helps me get back on track, but it's going to help my body to get back on track too. And I just really do enjoy fasting now that I understand all of its benefits. So people think that you get brain fog or you get hangry when you're fasting, right? That you're going to get angry, you're going to have less brain function. Because it actually works the opposite. At probably about hour 24, you start to have this increase in brain function. There's a number of things going on in the body when you're fasting. So we're going to go over a couple of those because I want you to understand. So I'm all over the place. We're doing a 36 and 12-hour fast starting tomorrow morning. Those of you who want to join me, I would love to join in. We're going to talk about it every day and see, how everybody's doing. I'm going to show you how I break my fast and what I eat on those 12-hour fasting days. So 36 and 12. Tomorrow will be my first fasting day because we're starting on the 1st of the month. So whatever I eat for dinner tonight, that's it. And then I won't eat again until 36 hours past that. Now, usually for me, it gets into more like 40 hours or so because just the time I wake up and I'm actually doing things. And there's benefit to all of that. And it's way, way easier than you think. When I first did it, I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be tough. But as I go through these things that are occurring in the body, you'll understand why some of us, not every one of us, should do a 36 and 12-hour fast. And it's some people who are aficionados in fasting are saying that it's better than a OMAD or an every other day fast. Yeah, but you don't 100% obviously, Chica. So she says she's going to try it. Think doing it. Think you're doing it normally, but not 100%. So we're going to talk about all these little things that go along with it. I want my body to heal. I'm 60 years old. I have grandkids that I want to be around for. I want to be like active and healthy at 96, not somebody who's needing a ton of care from everyone else. So that's why I do all these things. I am doing it alongside the system, and I'll explain why as we get going through this. The system is what helped me reverse my diabetes in the first place. And but it didn't fix all of the stuff, right? So now we're on a road to do that. All right. So the timeline of fasting, you guys, we've talked about this. I'm going to go over what happens in the first 12 hours of the body and why we even want to do intermittent fasting. Now, if you have never fasted before, maybe you want to do like a 16-hour fast in an 8-hour window for a few days to see how you do with it, and then start working into something like a 36 and 12 fast. It's absolutely healthy. It doesn't cause any real health problems, but if you do have severe issues, please talk to your doctor. We'll just make that disclaimer, okay? So, in the first few hours of fasting, what's happening? After you eat food, about 2 to 4 hours go by before the blood sugar levels rise, fall, and start to normalize. But it takes up to about 8 hours for the body to recognize, okay, there's no more food coming in. There's no more need for glucose to be, or not glucose, insulin to be out to regulate the glucose. At about 8 hours is when insulin starts to fall. Those of you guys who don't understand insulin resistance, if you don't understand why that's all needs to happen, put a 1 in the chat because I'll go back to that if you need me to. So the insulin levels start to drop around hour 8, but it takes a few more hours before the component hormone glucagon can come out. So Psalm 991, I will come back to this whole insulin piece in just a second. Thank you for being vulnerable enough to answer that question because a lot of people just wouldn't. So at about hour 8, right? Insulin is down. So when we look at these two hormones in your metabolism that kind of work side by side, it's insulin and it's glucagon. Insulin is a hormone that likes things to grow. It's called anabolic. It wants to hold on to things. Think of it like a saver. It's going to save everything that comes in. It's not going to let anybody take away what it has built until it's no longer present. Now, glucagon is a spender. Can you see the problem? One wanting to save and one wanting to spend. Well, our body's naturally going to prioritize the saver, or we would just waste away. So now at about hour 10, glucagon, which is queuing up this cellular turnover, it's queuing up the production of HGH, it's queuing up the production of ketones, all of this. And glucagon is now also searching for excess carbohydrates that are stored throughout the body. So we have to have insulin down before we can do fat burning, before we can do a lot of really healthy cellular turnover. Um, but insulin is also a great electrolyte normalizer. So we need some of it. You guys don't think we don't need it. We need it. We just need it in proper amounts. So we got to tame that bear, right? Because right now in most of our bodies that are insulin resistant, there's just way too much. And it's being a bully in our system. So at about hour 12, glucagon is coming out, or hour 10. Now, after glucagon comes out, your body takes a process to go through and be like, okay, these are the things we're going to do. We're going to increase HGH production. We're going to increase ketone production. So now we're getting at hour 12 where body's getting messages that, hey, we want to burn fat for fuel, but it's going to take a few hours for that message to actually get out and for you to start burning fat for fuel. That's at about hour 14. And then most of the time we're breaking our fast at hour 16. Beautiful system, right? We want to do that. We want to do that daily, 16 hours of fasting to allow all of these processes to happen in the body, and 8 hours of eating window. And we're not talking about feast like you're in a French court kind of eating. We're just talking about eating normal food and being focused on nutrients. And we're going to talk about nutrients in a minute. Okay, so I have some notes, guys, because I can't remember all of this all the time. With all the other stuff, my brain is a little older. It's beautiful in there, but there's a lot. Okay, so now after hour 16, between hour 16 and 18, a lot of people are extending their fast a little bit longer, and they're still not doing OMAD. Maybe they're doing an 18-hour fast in a 6-hour window, because now they're really monopolizing on or making use of those hours of fat burning. So remember, between hours 14 and 16, the fat's burning starting to ramp up. You add a couple more hours to that. The ketones are now increasing, which is increasing your fat burning even more. Ketones are little messengers that tell the body to burn fat for fuel. So some people are shifting it to an 18 and 6 hour fast. So now they're just having a meal. Their eating window just shortened, but they really made use of that fasting window, right? And then there's some people who are pushing it to 20 hours and a 4 hour eating window, still having two meals, and they're finding really great results. So, why are we doing 36 and 12? Because a number of things happen after hours 20 and 24 that really help with things like the liver being healthier, your skin tightening up, your brain functioning better, inflammation going down, muscles actually get stronger. You actually reduce the risk of cancers and other inflammatory diseases because those cells, which we're just going to call junk cells, the cells that are damaged or depleted or not doing good things in your body, are being used up, converted for energy so that our body can function. So it's cleaning up. But after hours 20, 24, your body is really in this cleanup mode where it's helping get rid of all of these cells. Your gut lining is starting to rebuild. So now all of those problems with IBS, with acid reflux, with all of that starts to heal in the gut. You're starting to build more probiotics in the gut. Those negative biotics in the gut are starting to die off because they're not getting fed. And so the gut is really increasing. But now with the less level of insulin and the body still finding sugar stores from other places in your system, your brain function is going up. Now you have cellular turnover going on in your brain, and even that starts to get better for you. And then the same thing with your skin. Blue, I'm going to answer your question. So your skin cells start to turn over. So look, I 2 years ago I had lost 50 pounds. I had this drooping, sagging neck that would wobble when I talked, and I know it did because I saw it, and I know it did because some kind young gentleman here on TikTok decided to point it out. It's tightened up. It's not completely tight, but it's tightened up because of the processes of fasting and keeping my insulin levels down. So we're going to do a 36 and 12 fast because you're having greater fat burning. The anti-aging effects of both brain and skin are going on. You're having higher levels of dopamine. You just feel better. Your sleep starts to regulate more when you've done about 36 hours of fasting. For most of us, that's enough. Okay. So we're going to do this for a week. What I wanted to say this morning before I go back to the insulin question and all the stuff about insulin resistance is those of you who are joining me, whether you ever, I don't know what I got on my hair, whatever you decide to do with this, take pictures, take measurements, just jot down everything that's going on with you. Even like I'm 60 years old. I have some wrinkly skin here on my hands. I'm thinking about taking pictures of even like my hands and my feet today. Just any of those things that you see that are bothering you. And at the end of the 30 days, do those measurements again, do that self-assessment again. Maybe I can find an assessment online that I can put up that we can all take that just kind of helps us gauge where we were when we started the 30 days of 36 and 12 and where we are when we end. Would anybody like me to find an assessment like that I can put on my link tree? You guys can download and get to for your own use. So, but if any of you find really great results from this, I would love to know that too. So this is just something we're doing for our health. Now, insulin. Somebody asked about why insulin. Why do doctors prescribe insulin so much? Well, if you're a type 1 diabetic, it means your pancreas doesn't work and you're not producing insulin in the first place. Excuse me. So they are going to prescribe insulin because those type 1 diabetics, and I have family members who are that, need the insulin. They really need the insulin. There's a number of jobs insulin does, and one day, maybe during this whole fasting month, I will do a whole video on just exactly all the stuff insulin does because I'm not clear on it yet either. It has a lot of jobs besides glucose transport, but that's the main job we're going to talk about. That's what we're talking about with insulin resistance. So one of the main jobs of insulin is to take the sugar that's been converted into glucose in our system and deliver it to the cells. But not only that, it kind of has a mechanism where if you think of the cells having a door and a key, insulin unlocks that key. But in the presence of insulin resistance, whether it's through inflammation of the cells or whatever, we're just going to say the cells are tired of insulin knocking on their door all the time, and that locks doesn't work anymore. The door won't open, so we can't get energy into the cells. We need energy in the cells. We need insulin to deliver that. What we don't need is the amount of insulin we've had in our bodies that's causing havoc. So doctors were thinking or have been taught that if insulin is if we're having a function where insulin is not being heard in the system, maybe the thing we should do is add more insulin so that the body can hear the insulin cues. But what happens is if you understand any of this, even in a basic form, when you've already flooded your body with something so much that it's saying, no, I don't want you, just on your own, take a thought, take a pause and say, is adding more insulin really the best thing I should do for my body? If there's something that's already causing a problem because it's too much, why would we add even more? And that's a good question. So Dr. Ben Bickman, who wrote this book, Why We Get Sick, has been educating doctors on this whole thing. And he tells doctors who are giving type 2 diabetics this. By giving them insulin, you're making them fatter quicker, you're making them sicker quicker, and you're killing them quicker. And he's on a mission to let these doctors know that this is not the way to address insulin resistance. So some of the doctors have come up to him crying after he goes through all of the mechanisms and all of the science, because that's all he does is study metabolic science. And doctors have actually come up to him crying and said, wow, I didn't understand. And you mean to tell me all of these years by prescribing insulin, I've been killing my patients? And, the frank answer is yes. So there's that. When we go to doctors, a lot of times what's going to happen is you're getting in a sick care model. You're not at a doctor's office for a health care model in most cases, right? You're there because you're trying to take care of a sickness. Insulin does cause dependence, and that's why part of the reason why we're going to do this 36 and 12 fast. So all of those, Danny, PCOS, insulin resistance, and prediabetes, all of those are just insulin resistance at different stages and levels. It's just gotten so bad in your body that you have those diagnoses. If you're diabetic, you are insulin resistant. If you're PCOS, you are insulin resistant. It's just PCOS, according to Dr. Bickman, is just metabolic infertility. It starts with the dysregulation of insulin, and now we have a problem that's getting worse and worse in your body. So I'm going to talk about two things today that have helped with my insulin resistance. And it's for type 2. I cannot advocate for type 1 without their doctor's notification, right? It's more difficult with type 1. So I am not equipped to answer questions about how this goes with type 1. I promise I will do some research on it, but I don't want to do that to people, okay? Yes, so Blue, we're going to fast for 36 hours. Nope. We're going to fast for 36 hours, and then you have a 12-hour window within which to get your nutrition in. Because my mind works in this funny way, I had put in, so I have a number of recipes that I use. The people who have ordered the system with me on subscription get that free ebook. It's not a big one. It's like 80, 90 pages, but it's recipes that I use in my own household, normal, real food that you can make easily. Yeah, truth is really important to me. If you guys don't know, I don't like people who overinflate stuff. I don't like people who try to twist stuff. So if I don't know, I'm going to say I don't know. And if I do know, then I'm going to say that too. Thin people can still be insulin resistant with PCOS. Yeah, I think that people do confuse insulin resistance with weight. Now, there's a lot of really thin people out there who are still insulin resistant, and it just depends because we all have genetics. We all come from different backgrounds, and it depends on how our genetics deal with the overload of insulin. Now, there's a number of other factors in our body, right? Like you could be more predisposed to PCOS than some other people, sure. So in that way, it could be genetic. But the light switch that turned it into PCOS is insulin resistance. And what science is finding more and more is that insulin resistance really is that switch with a lot of these diseases. You may have the propensity to have those diseases, but they don't manifest until you get this overload of insulin in many, many cases. That's what they're starting to see, where they're starting to link the two and it's across the board, you guys. It's crazy the papers I see where, like I said, I looked up muscular dystrophy. Oh, that couldn't be related. 30% of people with muscular dystrophy are insulin resistant, and those that have the muscular dystrophy and the insulin resistance have worsened symptoms. Crazy, right? But it goes on and on and on. Every time I get asked a question, even the chicken skin question I got asked a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh, that can't be related. We used to deal with that. I had an esthetician and a hormone doc in an office that I worked in. And so I was, between the two of them, and like, there's no way that chicken skin is related. Well, yes, chicken skin is related even. Crazy stuff. The more they figure it out, the more they're leaning towards looking at insulin resistance, and the more hopefully we can get the word out that things like Mounjaro, Ozempic, tirzepatide, all of these things and insulin therapy are not necessarily the best therapy. So we're going to go back to talking about sick care over health care, because most drugs are, and all drugs, are a sick care model. They're taking you at looking at you from a person who's sick, and we want to get rid of symptoms. So we're going to throw this at them instead of looking at a person and saying, ooh, they're not doing well. What's going on with their health? You have to be the one that's present to look at your health and start stepping into a healthcare model where you're really looking at building health and not just managing symptoms. So that's what we do. And that's why the protocol I love, because it's in the prescriber's digital reference, but it's not a medication, it's food product, but it's been so heavily studied and really scientifically designed that it has helped millions of people with insulin resistance. 16-hour fast is good. So you should be doing a 16-hour fast every day. To just eat 3 times a day and walk after every meal. Danny, that's a great idea too. So I'm an advocate of movement. We're going to go over my 6 simple tips here in a minute as well. I do want to talk about the fasting a bit more because we're going to start in the morning. Those of you guys who are going to start with me, let's start in the morning. So let's do this piece. What you should be doing today is getting carbohydrates cut out of your system, especially refined carbohydrates, so that you're not having a bigger shock tomorrow. So if you normally have some snacks and some sugary stuff, try cutting those out today. Still have your other like natural foodborne like vegetables and some fruits. You can have those today, but really try to cut back on any of the processed foods today as you're still eating so that you're not having problems tomorrow. Now, those of you who are going to do this with me and who haven't done fasts before, you may notice that as your body is cleaning junk up, your body odor changes, your breath changes. You shouldn't notice it as much with a 36-hour fast as you would if you were doing a 72-hour fast. But those changes can happen, and understand that if areas of your body are getting stinkier, that's a good indication that you're getting rid of junk out of your body. Yeah, so Chica, 9 symptoms of 18 on the banner up there, that's a pretty good indicator that you're insulin resistant. So all insulin resistance is too much insulin in the system over too long a period of time. Why it's happening and why we're doing the fast, why I do the protocol I do is this. We are getting sugar delivered to our system quicker than ever because we're eating packaged and boxed foods, foods that have been broke down or modified so that we're not digesting them as quickly, but they're refined so that the sugar hits our system more quickly. That now, when I say that, so that I'm not saying that the food industry just designed the food to do that, okay? But that's what's happening. So we, want to eat as many possible. We all know that. But we all are going to have some boxed foods. We had for dinner last night, we had chicken cordon bleu that I made. And of course, it came with rice and a biscuit. And then we had some amazing broiled asparagus alongside of it. Hey, Florida Cop, I didn't see your question. So, you guys, eating to be insulin sensitive doesn't have to be boring, but it does. I just like bottom line, you guys, you got to stop eating so many packaged foods. Okay. We all know it, but it's fine. How long after a cheat day, high carbs and sugar will it take to bring insulin down? It can take, so on a normal day, insulin goes down around 8 hours. If you're highly insulin resistant and you have a big cheat day, it could take 12 to 14 hours for the insulin to come down. If you're pretty insulin sensitive, right? So you're metabolically switching between fat burning and sugar burning. This is a subject we haven't even gotten into yet. Your insulin will come down pretty quickly. So if you are insulin resistant, those insulin levels are going to come down slower. When you start training your body to flex metabolically, so that sometimes it wants insulin to burn those sugars that you ate, and sometimes it has glucose or glucagon to eat up the other stuff or convert into glucose for us to use. Then the body goes, okay, insulin can rise and fall much quicker. It's only when we've trained insulin to stay high all the time that it's going to stay high for a long time. So that could be that your blood sugars spike in the morning, your ketones go super high. Your ketones shouldn't be in a metabolically flexible body. Your ketones shouldn't be getting really out of control even on a multiple day fast. I thought at first, when I started doing extended fasting, I thought at first that my ketones are getting really high. This is great. I'm doing really good work. Well, no, now I understand from talking with people like Dr. Bickman and a few other doctors that what really was happening was my body was so metabolically inflexible that it freaked out when there was no insulin and my ketones went really high. So the more you can get your ketones down to where they're not having those huge spikes, the more metabolically flexible you are because your body's like riding a wave. Like, ooh, okay, we got this. We need some energy. We're going to get some more energy pulled out from these cells that we're converting, but it's not going to keep your insulin level high after one cheat day if you're insulin sensitive. If you're not insulin sensitive, then it's going to stay high for a much longer period of time. Okay. Long answer to that one. And it's good to see you, Florida Cop. I missed the one about is your insulin always high in the morning? No. Why do gynecologists don't know about it? Most doctors don't know about it. When I've listened to podcasts with doctors who are speaking about it, who are learning about it now, who are advocating for this stuff, they will tell you they never get taught about insulin in school, and they never get a nutritional class in school. About 80% of our physicians have not had one nutritional class in all their time to become a doctor. 80% of our doctors have had no nutritional classes. Okay. So, if you fast for 16 hours, cut carbs, and exercise more, wouldn't that help anyone? Yes, it would, Chris. Yes, it would. But I'm going to talk about why the system is working in addition to the 16-8 fast. So here's the thing. It's not just about what we're doing when we're fasting. It's about how food is coming into your system when you're eating. So If you're having high sugar spikes, it's causing crisis in your body, driving the high insulin up. So say somebody fasts for 16 hours, they have an 8-hour eating window. They do cut their carbs, but now we know that our peaches and our fruits and our vegetables are not having enough fiber in them. Um, then the glucose is being converted much quicker than it needs to. And the truth is, all of our fruits and vegetables are very, very different from what they were 50 years ago. Not only have they been genetically modified to be bigger, better, badder, juicier, which means stripping out fibers and all these enzymes and stuff, but we have depletion of nutrient value because of crop rotation or lack of crop rotation, lack of animals being raised next to farmlands where it can replenish the soil and all of this stuff going on. Big, big story, right? But the bottom line is our food just isn't giving us the nutrition that we need, and now we're getting sick because of it. So with the protocol that I do, which is just a tea that I drink in the morning, I'm drinking now, and a pre-meal drink that I'll have before anything I eat today, there it's putting back in nutrients that we're missing because of all of the above. Plus, it's giving us extra fiber because most of us are only getting in 10 to 15 grams of fiber, and we need to be getting in 30 to 40 grams of fiber. So for all of the actions of now when I'm talking about the vitamins, the nutrients, the stuff that were like the chlorogenic acids in this that get components to your brain so that your brain can be happier, function better, sleep better, all of that. That doesn't happen with just fasting in this way. Also, the pre-meal drink that has the 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers in it, they if you're just fasting, that's fine, but if you're not adding that in when you're eating, we're still having a problem with negative gut microbiome. And so it happens to be that it's not just the fasting window, it's the window of when we're eating, what we're eating, and helping us make the food that we're eating be as efficient in our body as possible. So now we're getting the holes that are in our nutrition gap plugged by these two products that are giving us vitamins like A, C, D, E, K, a full range of B vitamins, and the pre-meal drink has minerals and whatnot in it as well. So now we're getting micronutrients along with the focus we're doing on getting in proper macronutrients. So um, you would have to eat a whole lot of vegetables to get the proper amount of fiber in a day, just because they've been so modified. And this helps me get that in, has helped my gut microbiome tremendously. I used to have debilitating IBS so bad I wouldn't want to leave the house. Yeah, and cheating can make you feel sick, you guys, because look at architects don't know mechanical equipment because they're mechanical engineers, right? Right, right, right. Okay. So, does sugar replacements, as in stevia syrup, raise insulin levels? It depends. So, stevia does not appear to raise insulin levels much at all. Although what some artificial sweeteners do, and Dr. Bickman talks about this a little bit, is that they increase they set off a center in your brain that makes you want more. So it's perceiving sweet and you're wanting more sweet food. So overuse of those sweeteners can just cause it for you to have more cravings and more difficulty sticking with something. Um, So I'm gonna admit I drink diet soda, and when I drink a diet soda, even though it's like the 0 calorie whatever, I do tend to be more snacky and want to have sweets more. Now, diet soda versus this, I don't wanna be snacky. I don't wanna eat, more. I'm feeling full, I'm feeling great. So big difference, right? But monk fruit seems to be the sweetener of the hour, but, just be careful and don't overdo those sweeteners because in the presence of those, you're gonna want to snack more and in, like, high amounts. I think I've heard them talk about the fact that it can, elicit an insulin response. Elicit a response like sugar and some of those things. That's a complicated question, complicated answer. Stevia monk fruit, probably don't increase the insulin at all. If you're looking at things like maple syrups and those things, absolutely, they're going to increase the insulin. Okay, so on allulose, I allulose is another one I'm just starting to hear about, and so I haven't done a lot of research on it. So I'm going to tell you, just knee jerk right now, right off the cuff, I would limit allulose as well. Um, but I need to learn more about it. As I believe I've heard both sides of the camp on allulose, and so I just want to do some more research and check who I trust more and see what that looks like before I make a big decision. For me now, I would just limit it as well. Yeah, Carrie. So you know what? I tell you that because I want you to know I'm a real person, right? Like people come in here and they feel like I know this because people have told me this, and just throughout my life what people perceive of me because I know the stuff, right? But look at honey, I have emotions. I have good days. I have bad days. I still have all this programming in my subconscious from my childhood of what reward is like with food. Even though I caught myself on a very emotional day and I looked at my son because I was at his house and I'm like, I'm not hungry. My belly is full, but I'm hungry. It's a stressful situation. I'm hungry. I'm also human. I go through all the same struggles as everybody else does. So, no, I'm not perfect. Would I like to be? Oh, yes, I would, but I'm not. And so I'm just using the tools at hand that help step me there quicker. When Steph was here, we had a discussion, a little bit of a heated discussion about some things. And I'm like, it doesn't even matter what the discussion is. Here's an analogy. When we put a ladder up because we want to go from the ground level to a higher level, you don't ever walk up to the ladder and like step on wrong one and boom, you're at the top, right? You need to take every step of the ladder on the way. So this is partly that you just have to take the steps necessary for you, for your life, for the way you operate in life to get to where you want to be. Okay. Some people are going to do it more perfectly than others. But you know what? As long as you're continually climbing to that top rung, even if you slip and fall down a rung, if you get back up and you keep climbing towards that top rung, you're going to eventually get there. It may not look perfect. It may not be like the person who was able to speed climb that ladder, but your top rung is probably different than their top rung anyway. So it's a rung at a time kind of life, right? We do what we can where we can, and we fix what we did wrong when we can, and we just keep moving towards that better place. Okay. So, can insulin resistance lower white blood cell production? I believe that it can, Apple user. Um, let me, I know I've read something about that. White blood cell. Oh, no. So, white blood cell. Um, inflammatory response, allergy response, that kind of thing. Insulin resistance is not lowering that. It's actually causing more of that. So let me do some research and get you a real answer on that. But now as I'm putting all this stuff together in my head, no. So there's a reason, like I had eosinophilic esophagitis, white blood cells. Eosinophils are one type of white blood cell. Why would there be so many white blood cells lining my esophagus so much so that it caused inflammation and my esophagus would constrict and I wouldn't even be able to drink my tea? It would be shut off. Doctors didn't believe me. They ran multiple tests, and every time they would come out with their eyes wide open, like, oh my gosh. So those white blood cells were present really heavily, not only because the allergies I had, but because of the insulin resistance. About 2 years after getting my insulin resistance under control, I had taken my daughter and her three grandkids out, her three kids out. It was their two of them's birthday, and I gave them a choice of where they wanted to go for dinner, and they chose this Chinese buffet. So lots of food, really good food, some sweet, some savory, whatever. But as we sat down to eat, I was eating and I recognized that I didn't know where the bathroom was. Why is that important? Because I had this eosinophilic esophagitis so bad that one, I didn't like to go out to eat with anybody because it was embarrassing and traumatic for everyone when I did what I called choking, which is where nothing can go down my esophagus and yet it builds up to a point where it puts so much pressure that it blows and it breaks the blood vessels in my arms, my hands, my face, my chest, and it could destroy my esophagus, right? None of that's comfortable. So I would always make sure we were seated near a restroom. So if I started feeling that choking feeling, I would get up and run to the bathroom where it wasn't going to traumatize everyone. Now, that happened every single time I ate. Every time, no matter what I ate. But the only thing I changed in the 2 years was using the system, getting my gut microbiome cleaned up, getting my insulin levels down, and now I don't have that problem to the point that I don't even think about where's the restroom. I gotta have the restroom near or know where it's at so I can get to it in case of an emergency. That was eosinophils, white blood cells. So that's a long answer to your question, but that's where I come from with it. My white blood cell count has gone down since I became more insulin sensitive. Sometimes it takes my mind a minute to go bing, 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 bing. Yeah, EOE. Okay. So any other questions? Facebook user, you take 500 grams of metformin. After like 2 hours, you feel very low energy. So metformin can be really hard on your body. I'm not a pharmacologist or pharmacist, so I can go back to where I'm going to go, you guys, is the brilliance of this man, because there's actually a section in here on metformin. It probably is, or drugs in general, but metformin is one of the anti-diabetic drugs that he says he's okay with, to an extent. Look, you guys, the big problem is when you're doing a drug therapy for diabetes, you're treating yourself as if you're deficient in a drug. You're not deficient in a drug. You're deficient in nutrients that are in our foods that are allowing your body to regulate the food intake properly. So why not come back to, let's fix what's wrong with the food and get that taken care of. And now when stuff is left over, we can look and see what's really wrong. So insulin resistance, you guys, it does not require medications. It just requires understanding that our nutritional system is flawed, and that, yeah, we got to plug the holes. But we're not plugging the holes from the response of, ooh, we just want the A1C to come down. We're plugging the holes in our nutritional system saying, hey, we want everything to get better. We want to give the body what it needs to deal with and cope with life much better, and so that this person can have health. That's what the system is about. So metformin can be really hard. Look, I was put on metformin. I did it for about a week. One evening, I can't remember what we had for dinner. I was staying at my daughter's house, so sleeping on her couch, and I got sick in the middle of the night on metformin. And I ended up like having the most horrible stomach pains, feeling faint, feeling flushed, feeling all of that. And I got up to run to the bathroom. Graphic. So if you don't want to hear graphic, just let me know. Just, don't pay attention. But I literally blew chunks all the way to the bathroom. So all the way through the kitchen, all the way to the bathroom. That continued for a good half hour. And then when I was done and depleted and exhausted and tired and still in pain because my joints weren't working and all of this other stuff from insulin resistance was going on, then I had to spend 2 hours cleaning up her bathroom and kitchen before anybody got up. Cause acidity. You may notice some acid reflux at the beginning of intermittent fasting. Will intermittent fasting cause acidity? Because your gut is not used to working properly, and you have some, I shouldn't say you have in the way that it's you. Many people experience that their nerves are not firing correctly. So now the stomach isn't contracting like it should, the intestines aren't contracting like they should. Fasting will help those cues, But in the beginning, it could cause you to experience some acid reflux because now you have excess acid production in your stomach. Your stomach is not contracting to move that through, so it's coming back up in your esophagus. As you become more insulin sensitive and the nerve firing starts to happen more properly in your gut, in your intestines, in your liver, in your gallbladder, that acid reflux feeling is going to start going down. And then you might want to take it a step further and see, are there foods you're allergic to? Is there something that's causing you to have that reflux? And by the way, sugar and seed oils for me have, like, I can have tomatoes, but if you put something in seed oils or sugar, that's when acid reflux is going to cause havoc, or I'm going to have gastritis, or I'm going to have whatever. So it's not just about, oh, it's the lemons, or oh, it's the tomatoes. The acid foods are actually good for your body. But it's the sugar and those seed oils that are causing dysfunction in the gut. At least for me, I've heard a number of people say it, and I know that it happens with me as well. So, but long term, the intermittent fasting will start to help that heal up as your gut gets healthier. It can cause acidity, though, for some people. All right. So this 36 and 12 fast, you guys, today, take pictures of, like, I'm going to take pictures of my skin and a couple of places that I tighten up, like under my neck, and just see what happens in 30 days. Whether you share it with anyone else or not, do it for you so you can see and measure what's happening. When we do something, when we do anything, our brains are amazing, and it will tend to forget. And then all of a sudden we're here and we're like, I don't know if this did any good for me. Like, it's hard for me to remember now all the things that I suffered with. I had to write down a list of all the things that were going wrong with me: PCOS, joints deteriorating, ligaments failing, bone density going down, visceral fat, brain fog, hair falling out, teeth and gums bleeding. My eyesight was failing. Just like, I couldn't go up and down stairs. I had sleep apnea. All of the stuff up here, almost all of it I had. But without that list to go, oh yeah, I remember having that, it's hard for me to remember. So write it down, because you need a gauge. Anytime you make change, and this is for anything, not just this, okay? Anytime you make change, you want to write down where you're at and where you want to be. And then even better, now you have something to focus on where you want to be. But when you get there, you need to document that too, and then keep them together, because that where you were to where you are, and that gauge of how different it is going to help you be more consistent in the long run. Just a little something, something. So tomorrow morning, so you guys eat what you want to eat today. Try to focus on proteins and fats, and getting the carbohydrate count down, especially in the last meal. Okay, then you're going to hit your hormonal changes in the body quicker. And then all of these great things like human growth hormone coming out, ketones coming out, cellular turnover happening can be more supported. Now, I will still have my tea in the morning. I will probably have it at least twice tomorrow, um, maybe even 3 times. Somebody asked about bone broth. I think you can do bone broth. I wouldn't overdo it on tomorrow. And then if I need to, if I want to, I will add these fibers in, because of the microbiome support that it's giving me. I don't always do this, especially on a shorter fast where I really want that autophagy going on. This can slow down autophagy, but if you just want that gut microbiome to build at first, the first few days you can start adding this in during your fasting window, because it's not going to spike your insulin, but it's going to help that gut microbiome start to regulate and get much healthier, which when the gut is healthier, everything else gets healthier. So today it's just slow down on the carbs. Don't have carbs, a big amount of carbs in your last meal. This isn't the last hurrah, because guess what? On Saturday, we get to eat again. And I will go over with you guys what I do for the 3 meals, and I do 3 meals on my fed days. So those people who are thinking it's all about calories in, calories out, a little bit, but generally overall during the week, I still am aiming to get the same amount of nutrients in, on those this abbreviated eating plan as I would as if I was doing a 16/8 fast. So, I will do 3 meals. My 3 meals are going on Saturday are going to be focused on getting in about 50 grams of protein per meal, about, 10 to 15 grams of fiber per meal, and, a good amount of healthy fats. So, as much as possible, I'm gonna stay away from all of the seed oils and whatnot. I don't have them in my house, but if I have to go out somewhere for dinner with people, then I get subjected to them then. So I'm gonna be doing the protocol of fiber first when I do eat, prioritize proteins, fill up with healthy fats and don't fear them. So healthy fats being avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, butter, ghee, coconut oil. I literally keep, the avocado cups in my fridge. I would never grew up with avocado, so I'm vulnerable. I don't know how to cut them properly and make it, less frustrating for me, so I just buy the cups, and I use that in my protein shakes. I use that on my eggs for a healthy fat. Plus it has a lot of fiber in it and nutrients as well. So avocado is an amazing food to eat to add to this. But, just so and do your shopping today for the next few days that you'll be eating, because if you wait till the end of your 36 hours, you're gonna be so focused on being hungry that you're gonna give yourself bad food choices. So, I will do the system basically the same as I do on my fed days, on my fasting days, because again, these, even without the presence of food, are gonna help me feel fuller and less hungry during the fasting window. But it's also helping produce short chain fatty acids, which are helping with fat burning. So this depends on how you want to do the 36 and 12 fast. Are you looking to get fat burning, or are you looking solely for turnover of cells? If you're looking for the maximum turnover of cells, skip the fiber on the fasting days. If you're looking for that fat burning cue, then do the fiber on the fasting days in some water and let's knock it out. No snacks. So, on my fed days, it will look like this. I normally go live from 8:30 to 9:30. So somewhere around 10, I'll have one of my shakes. I posted a recipe for one of the shakes on my Facebook page. Um, but the shakes recipe, you guys, the shakes I do, I just a serving of protein is about 20 grams for most brands, right? I love our brand. When Steph was here, she had a shake with me every day to break our fast. That was one meal, because it was giving us about 40 grams of protein. Now I've added coffee into some of them and made more like a mocha flavored one, but the basis of the recipe is just this. Putting whatever it takes in to get to 40 to 50 grams of protein in that shake. Okay. I'm adding some healthy fats. So whether it's cream cheese, whether it's whole cream creamer, whether it's avocado. Yes, I just dump avocado in my shakes, or coconut milk. I put about a quarter cup of fat, that healthy fat in the shake. Then 3/4 cups of water, another cup of ice, and then whatever flavorings, sugar-free that I want. Sometimes I do a sugar-free peanut butter. Sometimes so it's and a little bit of, like, chocolate stevia or sugar-free chocolate, and that makes it like a chocolate peanut butter, like a chocolate peanut butter shake. Stephanie, when she drank that, she was like, "Oh," because she looked at the shake and she was like, "This isn't gonna fill me up." She drank it and she was like, "Oh my god, this is yummy. I almost wanna have another one." And then a few hours later, she's like, "Oh my god, I'm still full from that shake." That's the point. Well, I wanna get nutrients in, I wanna stay full, I wanna not overeat or snack, but I wanna get nutrients in. On your eating days, focus on nutrients, a gram of protein per pound of body weight, the ideal body weight, and then 30 to 40 grams of fiber. Men, you should be getting in more like 40 grams of fiber. Women, 30 is minimal, but do you want to get those in? So that's where I focus. Fiber, fats, and protein are where I focus on my non-fasting days, and just limit those carbs. If you're having carb addictions, this 36 and 12-day fast, you will come out of it without all of those sugar cravings, and you'll have increased your brain function, your liver function, you'll have normalized your gut function some. If you have IBS, Crohn's, any of that, you should notice great improvement from that between the protocol and this fasting. So any other questions before I hop off? Tomorrow will be the first day of fasting. So yes, I'll be drinking a lot of tea. I can drink the tea as much as I want and not break my fast. So trust me, I do. I drink a lot of the tea. There's spices and stuff you can add to it for flavor too that don't spike the insulin. So all right. Is there anything we didn't go over really in depth? I'm going to go over it again. So why are we doing a 36-hour fast? And I have a cheat sheet, you guys. I'm not going to lie. I have a cheat sheet. So, and this one comes from this book, Life in the Fasting Lane, written by Dr. Fung. So I have like this book. Yes, I have Dr. Mindy Pelz's book on fasting. Dr. Mindy Pelz talks about the 36 and 12 fast. And you guys, there have been more studies done on it and how good it does for all of these things than any other type of fasting. I think Ben Bickman talks about it a little bit here, but this list is like this. So in the first 4 to 8 hours, like I already said, your blood sugars are starting to fall, and about hour 8, your insulin levels finally fall, and the body's not producing more of it. Instructions. Chica. So would you like me to do some written instructions? Is that what you're asking for? I can do that today. And I will post it up as a video, and I'll try to put a link to someplace where you can download it too. I just need a pen and a paper. It's always interesting when somebody else sits at my desk, then I just don't remember wherever, I can't find anything. Okay, so all right, so 4 to 8 hours, the glucose levels are coming down. This stuff I know, but there's a few pieces in here that I need to be reminded of as well. So at hour 12, now glucagon is already out, right? So your food that you've consumed has been burned up and utilized. Your digestive system starts to go to sleep. So your digestive system is taking a break, and your body begins its healing process. So all of that cellular turnover, and it's starting to look at, hey, what cells do we need to hold on to? What cells do we need to get rid of? Are starting at hour 12. The body's starting to do the scan of like, what do we need for energy? What do we need to preserve, and what can go away? This is the amazing thing with fasting. It's not depleting muscle for muscle's sake. It's, if you're like me and you have fat and you have toxic cells and you have all of this other stuff going on. Look, I'm 60 years old. Breast cancer, ovarian cancer, those are a real concern for me. This 36-hour fasting can reduce those cells that would be turning into cancer and help you become more resistant to it, right? So that you have a healthier life. Now, along with that, my tea that I drink has anti-cancer properties in it as well. We don't talk about it a lot because I kind of get my hands spanked, but you know what? I want you to know. So this whole protocol, the tea, the fasting, has been suggested to, I'll say suggested to, help reduce risks of cancer because it's giving you less of the junk cells and it's giving you less of those. Cancer is a whole other subject, but with the vascular reduction, with a number of other things that are happening in the body and the increased sugar, you're kind of a cancer factory. So we're trying to reverse that and make it so that cancer is not the winner in our cells. Now, that's what I'll say about cancer. So, but your HGH, your human growth hormone, the things that tells things to grow and regenerate and be healthy, starts to kick up at about hour 12. Your glucagon is starting to help you balance your blood sugars by, you know what? You don't have to have carbohydrates to get glucose. And so glucagon is going out and finding some of these cells that it can convert back into an energy source. So your body is getting energy even without sugar or insulin present. And crazy thing to me, which I just learned, because I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but our cells, like our muscle cells, have a back door to get this glucose that's being broken down in the body. Wow, it wanted me to I don't know what happened. That was a TikTok thing. So, your cells have back doors to get the glucose in. Insulin is the primary deliverer, but in a fasted state, when insulin is down and you're not having dietary glucose, the body starts to break it down, and then glucagon can deliver that out. So let's another couple of descriptions we're going to give to these. Insulin is dietary glucose; it's regulating that. Glucagon is regulating your biological glucose, stuff that it's converting out of the cells that can be converted and used as energy. Yes, it was a puzzle piece on my screen, bro. All right, so at 16 hours now, because of the HGH, because of the ketones, because of all of these other actions that are happening, and because you don't have energy in your food, in your system, your body's going to start to burn fat. And that glucagon is going to help, and it's going to convert that into an energy source and break it down. And it's going to give you the energy for the rest of the day. So you're not feeling depleted and weak. That's all in your head. You guys, there's nothing wrong with going extended periods of time without food. We were built for it. It's like buying a truck and never putting anything in the back of the truck. It was built to haul stuff. If you just want to haul people around, you don't need a truck, right? Our bodies were built for this. So, all right. So then at about hour 18, your HGH, that human growth hormone, that thing that's causing this really healthy cellular turnover, really skyrockets, but that's at hour 18. Now, most of us have been cutting it off at 16. Great, great. We're doing a lot of good, right? But we're talking about a 36-hour fast. So now at 24 hours, that autophagy, that cellular, like eating stuff up and turning them over, really starts to work, and the ketones that are already present are starting to go up in your system. So now there's more cues to burn more fat. So this is why this 36-hour fasting is really great for weight loss, but it's also great to help clean out the glycogen stores in your liver, to help your cells turn over. And so at hour 36, that autophagy, that cellular turnover is increased by 300%. So let's look at the 36 and 12 fast. We normally stop at 36, right? And if you need to stop at 36, great. But when I look at my timeline, I'm going to say, my dinner's probably going to be around 6 tonight. So 6 tomorrow night is 24 hours. 6 Sunday morning is 36 hours. Now at 6 o'clock Monday morning, that autophagy, that cellular turnover has increased by 300%. Not because I'm trying to, but I'm gonna take advantage of those few hours of increased autophagy, and I'm probably gonna get up and have breakfast, a shake, whether it's a shake or whether it's eggs and some kind of protein. I will have that at probably 9 or so in the morning. So now I will have been at like 39 hours fasting. That increase in autophagy is going to have a good 3 hours to work, and it's going to just be fine. And then I will have my meals probably more like between 9 and 6, but I will have 3, and in each 3 of those, I'll try to get 50 grams of protein in each meal, and at least 10 grams of fiber in each meal, and a good amount of fat in each meal. And that's how tomorrow's going to go. Some people say with longer fasting that you want to break your fast in a certain way. So if you're concerned that your gut's not working well, then yes, start with the shake in the morning because it's going to get you the nutrients, but your gut's not going to have to chew on so much, right? And then have chicken, steak, salmon for your other 2 meals, and you start it all over again. That's how we're going to do the next 30 days. Okay. I will try to get all of that written down so that you have like a timeline and kind of like what to eat, and then just follow along and ask me as you go along. That's why we're doing this as a challenge together. So you guys can ask questions, you can get support from each other, and we can see how much our health shifts in these 30 days. So that's the 36 and 12 fast. Now, I haven't even talked about the product this morning, and that's what I'm here for. So I'm going to talk about it. I'm having my tea in the morning. You guys, the system that I use to help me with my insulin resistance and that got me really on this path is just this: a tea that I drink in the morning, which I'm drinking now, and a pre-meal drink that I drink 10 minutes before I eat anything. So simple. I just mix it in a bottle, I drink it down, and that's that. Now, why? So the tea is giving me mental energy and clarity. It's helping me feel satiated. So it's shutting down my hunger cues, both in my brain and in my gut. There's some videos in the tea tab on my TikTok, and it will tell you, it'll give you some great components of why this tea. Um, I will write it down for you, Ro. I'll get it. I'll put it up as a video later today, and then I'll probably try and do a clickable or a link that you guys can sign up to get um, at no cost. But I'll try and get that graphic done today because if you don't know me, I love doing graphics and that kind of stuff. So, um, tea in the morning, and I can have the tea throughout the day, which I do every day. I usually have one hot and then I have one cold. And the cold one I drink in less water and I just sip on it. I enjoy it. Then when I am ready to eat, so this today, I don't even know what I'm having. I'm probably just going to have a shake because I got stuff going on and I don't have time. But I'll have this beforehand. Um, and then dinner, I think we have leftovers from last night's cordon bleu, so I'll have chicken breasts and a little bit of rice and some vegetable on the side, and that's it. But this helps me feel full before I even eat, and because I'm having that rice, this is gonna help slow down the delivery of the glucose from the rice so that I don't have a big sugar spike tonight after I eat, and then it will help me stay fuller longer. Again, on a fasting day for fat loss, this is gonna help increase short chain fatty acids. It's going to help feed the probiotics in the gut, and in those ways it can help you start to burn more fat. So I will still drink my balance on the 36 and 12 fast day, and I will have at least one of these teas whether I'm eating or not. And between that, we're going to get this gut healed up. We're going to get a number of good things happen, and I will do the same thing I'm asking you guys to. I'll write it down, I'll take some pictures, and at the end of 30 days we can go over how much everything changed and how consistent you really were. Um, so bring questions tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit more about fasting and fiber and why it's so important to your health, and how, yes, all of the things above, because somebody said 9 of the 18 things above they had. I I would be shocked and amazed if at the end of this 30 days, doing the system to support your nutrition and doing the fasting to help pull out old stuff if you don't feel 100% better. I am not pushing a product, I'm helping people. I just spent over an hour talking about amazing stuff for the body and of maybe 5 minutes talking about the product I use. I'm not the best salesperson because I like to help people. And that's the way it is. Okay. So I'm going to hop off. I'm going to go get some graphics done. We're going to talk about more of this tomorrow. And I appreciate all of you who hung out with me today. Let's get our health back and check in tomorrow morning. Don't forget your tea in the morning. That's going to help you get through this fast. Hot, cold, however you like it. But It's easy, you guys. Sometimes in the afternoon, it feels a little difficult, but if you will change your mindset and say, it's only a few more hours and I get to go to bed. When I wake up, I can eat. So just make it past those few hours when you need to go to bed, and you'll make it through your 36 hours. I think most of us can do this. Please, please pay attention to physical symptoms like feeling faint, dizzy, like you want to pass out. If you have any severe symptoms like sweats, anything, you might want to get a hold of your provider. You might have to start with a shorter fast. Okay? We'll see you guys in the morning.